Hello, my name is William Holmson. Welcome to my Security Awareness Training video / presentation. Why is security important in today's day and age? Well, security when it comes to computers is important for a multitude of reasons. You can protect your personal and sensitive data or information. This could include anything such as personal family photos, financial information, or just anything that you don't want anyone else to have access to. You can prevent other people from using your devices. This includes smartphones or personal computers or anything that is a digital device. This means that nobody else would have access without your authorized permission. This goes along with protecting your right to privacy, which is something very important in today's modern digital age. Everyone wants the right to have personal, private access to their own technology. Another important feature of security is blocking unwanted network activity. Most malware or malicious software, viruses, anything that could be harmful to your computer or personal life on the internet comes from the internet. So you would want to block any unwanted activity that would allow anything bad to infect your computer or device. This goes along with knowing how to avoid being attacked in the first place. If you study security and you know good security practices, you can know how to avoid being targeted for an attack or opening yourself up to being attacked. And most importantly, you want to be able to keep yourself safe in real life. It's important to protect data and your devices and everything of that nature, but the most important thing is not being targeted maliciously in the real world. So let's go over some common types of cyber attacks. First, we have phishing, which is a type of social engineering attack. Phishing is when someone may pose as a trusted source or person of authority or anyone who they claim to be, but maybe not actually in real life. And then using that position of authority or recognition to elicit personal information such as usernames or passwords, phone numbers, or credit card information, for example. Using a false identity to get information on you. You also have man-in-the-middle attacks. Man-in-the-middle attacks are a little bit different. Say you are using the internet and trying to do some online banking. A man-in-the-middle attack would be if you are using the internet in a coffee shop and you log into what you assume to be your bank's website using the coffee shop Wi-Fi. In a man-in-the-middle attack, there would be someone intercepting all of your internet traffic. They would be able to see everything you type in and everything you look up. They would have that information and then relay that to the website and then relay the website back to you. A man-in-the-middle attack basically means that there is someone watching your internet traffic back and forth all the time. You also have attacks like worms. Worms are a type of program that infects your computer, most likely through the network, and can carry out a multitude of tasks. This could be copying files and sending them back to its original source, or wreaking havoc on your computer and destroying components or software and just making your computer unusable. Another common feature of worms is its ability to replicate itself. So say it infects your computer, does what it needs to do, it would then use your computer to send itself back across the network and infect another computer, so on and so forth. Another type of attack is a Trojan horse. A Trojan horse is a type of file or program that looks innocent enough on the outside, but once installed and or running, it would carry out an ulterior motive. Again, like stealing information, copying files, or wreaking havoc to your computer. It is a false face on a malicious program. And then finally, not so much an attack, but more of a security hole is vulnerable software. This could be anything from holes in your operating system to just regular programs. But vulnerable software usually means bugs in the software, and bugs are imperfections that could potentially make your computer more vulnerable to an attack. So, as I mentioned, most malicious software or types of attacks come over the internet. So let's go over some web browser security. There are multiple good practices that you should have when using the internet, but one of the best ones is to only go to trusted websites with URLs beginning with HTTPS. The S at the end of the HTTP shows that the website has a trusted certificate and that it is a secure website. You'll find this a lot on government websites, big corporations, banks, anything like that. The whole point is that you are less likely to be attacked because the website is secure. So whenever you're doing anything that involves logging into a website or email, sharing your email, especially sharing payment information or banking information, always check the URL at the top of your screen to make sure that it is a secure website with HTTPS. Another good practice is to enable ad blocker to prevent potentially malicious ads. Everyone hates ads, and no one wants them to pop up on their computer all the time, but a lot of ads that you find online might have ulterior motives behind them instead of actually advertising the product that they claim to. If you click on one of these ads, you can be redirected to a malicious page that can force its way onto your computer and install some nasty files. That's why it's important that you do not click on any unknown links, ads, photos, or anything from unknown sources. Don't go to sketchy websites. Don't click on anything you find on those sketchy websites. It's also important to not download any unknown files to your computer. Do not, under any circumstances, download something from an unknown website that is not secure. Basically, don't download anything unless you are positive you need it on your computer or device. It's just good practice. And then finally, one of the best security practices you can have when it comes to the internet is to enable a web content filter to prevent access to malicious sources. A web content filter prevents you from going to sketchy websites in the first place, therefore making it less likely for you to have bad software installed onto your computer. So let's talk about antivirus software. If you have harmful software installed to your computer, or you have a breach in security on your computer, antivirus software helps deal with that, or prevents the issue in the first place. It will prevent you from downloading nasty software or going to bad websites, and it can identify security threats to your computer before things get too bad. And if it is on your computer already and causing trouble, it can help isolate the issue and remedy it. Common trusted antivirus software is Malwarebytes, which has a free trial and is very trusted by most people who use it. Windows Defender, which comes standard and free on most Windows 10 operating systems. And then there's also other companies like Norton Antivirus and McAfee Antivirus. If you are worried about losing personal data, if a malicious program goes on your computer and causes harm to your computer, and you would lose access to the drives on that computer, it's important to practice regularly backing up your data. If you regularly back up your data, then you have a separate copy off your computer that would mean if something happens, you could restore from that backup, or you could just have copies of all your personal photos, tax information. You would not lose access. So it's important to make sure that you have a regular backup plan so that you don't lose anything important. Let's talk about patch management. As I said earlier, holes in software or outdated software lead to bugs in the software. If you regularly make sure that your software is up to date, you can make sure that you minimize the amount of bugs in that software. Most software companies will do automatic updates, which mean that you can get regular updates on time and as they come out. But some software companies don't do that, especially if it's older software. So it's important that if it doesn't, to go to that developer's website and check for regular updates to make sure you're on the latest version. This is especially important if you're running a Windows operating system, because with a Windows operating system, you can always make sure that you're up to date in the settings, and that way your computer itself doesn't have security holes in its core software. So now choosing a good password. Most people in this day and age do not know good password practice. A lot of people will use common phrases or personal phrases or things that relate to them because they're easy to remember and they don't take a lot of time to type in. But when you use an easy password, that's easier to guess. So more people would be more likely to guess your password and get into your computer. So it's important to try and use a good password. By most standards, a good password has at least 16 characters in it. I know it's hard to type in or hard to remember, but it is worth the extra step. It would have uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. But please, do not use common or personal phrases because they are easy to guess by a human and definitely easy to guess by using a computer program. But a computer program would be virtually impossible to crack a good password with these steps using a computer program like that. Along with using a good password, it's always important to make sure that you lock your computer when you're not using it. If you stay logged in, anyone can come by and access anything on your account, your documents, your photos, anything like that, but they would also have access to your account as a whole, meaning that they could do things with your permissions as if they were you. So it's important to make sure that you lock your computer so that no one else has access to your account. You can do this a multitude of ways. There's going through the menu, there's using Control-Alt-Delete, but I find the easiest method for me is holding down the Windows key and simultaneously pressing L. This will lock your computer quickly and you can leave and forget about it. But let's say you're not in the practice of regularly locking your computer every time you leave your desk. Sometimes you might forget about it. In that case, it would be a good idea to use a password-protected screensaver. Using a screensaver automatically locks your computer when you leave your desk for a long period of time when you enable that feature. You can choose how long of inactivity it would take to activate the screensaver, and as I said earlier, this prevents anyone from walking by and accessing your computer without your knowledge. Now onto a different area of cybersecurity. Social media. Social media is the easiest way for an attacker to gain information on you as a target. They can gain personal information that would be just out in the open, and say you're not using a good password like I described earlier. Say you're using your favorite sports team or a pet's name or where you went to high school. If you have all of that information on social media, someone could very easily look you up, stalk you for a little bit, write down enough information to guess your password, and then they would have access to all of your accounts and all of your different information associated with those accounts. So it's important to limit what you post and who can see it. But beyond that, as I said earlier, there's a very big risk to when someone can find information on you in real life. You need to keep yourself safe in real life. If you post a lot on social media about your daily routine, someone could follow that routine and figure out where you might be at what time. They also might be able to figure out where you live and who your friends and family are, and you can be targeted. Therefore, it's important to make sure that you limit what you post and who can see it. It's always a good idea to try and keep your accounts private.